Hey everyone, we're back and we're going to take a look at a project. I thought this might be a good project that we can go through and talk a little bit about the buttons as well as how GarageBand is broken down. And what this is a book that I read called Leo the Late Bloomer, and it's a first grade book. I just wanted to go through and read a book to capture my voice and get some sound, as well as what's indicated right here on the natural vocal track that I use. So this is the track that I use to record my voice. And then in GarageBand, as you go through and you can add tracks, and this is a track that I added with a nice piano in the background underneath my voice. So this kind of gives you the idea about the structure, and I thought I would just kind of use this as an example to go through and talk about some of the buttons. The first thing that I've noticed when you start with an empty project, you might want to take a look at a couple defaults because they can kind of get on your nerves. One of those up at the very top, you have different type of display modes. It might be set as beats in a project. That's what musicians use for constructing their song with different type of bars, what the tempo is, the beats per minute, what key that the song is in, and time signatures. If you're doing a podcast, you may want to change that to time as a time option there. That way you can tell your students that I want you to develop a 30-second or 1-minute commercial that kind of helps them keep track of their time and how long that their commercial is going to last. So that's maybe one setting that you can go through and toggle between a time setting as well as beats and project. The other setting that's kind of as a default as well is this count in button. This is used for the metronome, and it will give you clicks. If you hear this annoying click, that's what happens is that these items are turned on, and you would need to turn those off. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4 lead in that we're going to turn off, as well as the metronome or the click track. That's what musicians use to keep in time. We really don't need that with our podcast because we don't need to keep in time, so we're going to turn that off as well. So those are just two buttons that you want to probably have your students turn off from the get-go. Over on the left-hand side, but what these are toggle buttons, and I'm going to go through and kind of explain a little bit about those now. The first button on the far left-hand side is the library. Of course, these buttons are going to depend upon the tracks that you're working with. So, for instance, I'm clicked on any type of time that you work on a track, you want to select your track, and then also your library is going to change according to what type of track that it is. Again, I'm going to turn off the library just to get rid of the library. The button to the right of that is a quick help. This is a helpful guide that as you go through and you move and work with GarageBand, you can go through and it describes some of the buttons. So for instance, I've got the quick help on now, and let me click on Smart Controls, and Smart Controls is a area down at the bottom that will appear, and you can really get in detail as far as intermediate and advanced levels of equalizing your voice. You can put more echo in, you can turn up the highs in your voice or increase the lows. So again, that's going to vary according to what type of track that you recorded. And again, I'm just turning that on and off with the Smart Controls button. If I want to edit my voice, the Editors button, again, this is going to vary. So for instance, right now I've selected a natural vocal track here. This is helpful if I want to cut part of my voice out, or if I want to copy it or paste it. I can go to the Editors button and do all my editing. So that's something that you want to keep in mind as well. Over on the far right, to the right of that, is just the general rewind buttons to rewind what we've played, to forward, to stop, Also the play button, when I click on play, that will go through and play my voice, and this is referred to as the playhead, so I'll demonstrate that in 1 second. If I were to hit record here, I would hit record, and as I'm talking right now, this would appear right in my project, so I don't want to do that. Coming over on the other type of the display mode is a cycle that will go through, and you can go through and repeat parts. I'm going to leave this turned off for now. The other item, this is a tuner, a built-in tuner. GarageBand does have a tuner, and pretty helpful, and it's also pretty neat when you're tuning your instruments. So that's kind of a neat little thing that you can turn on there, is the built-in tuner. We talked about the metronome, counting in, as well as a click track. And over here on the far right hand side is a master volume. So this is the master volume. We want to pay particular close attention to that. You can slide it to the left to decrease it, or slide it to the right to increase your volume. One of the new features in GarageBand is this real neat notepad. I could see a lot of students using this as they go through and they start to do their writing. They can write it in a notepad. Probably the Apple developers wrote this so people, as you go through and work with your editing, you could take notes about your editing and kind of keep track of that. But I thought this was a real neat feature that students could type that in. It would be right there and be ready to go as they go through and they read their story. The other section, or the button, is called the loops. This is where all of the background music is, as well as drum loops and different loops here. You can also purchase loops. And to the right of that is the media browser, where students can, you can actually bring in sound from movies, from iMovie, from Photo Booth, as well as any type of music that a student has, like in iTunes.